What is good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is RuffledRowlit, and welcome back to a brand new video, guys. Today, we're doing another challenge run in Pokemon, and today we're going to be doing a challenge run in Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and the challenge run we're doing is the No Catches run, or the Catchless run. Now, we're also doing this with no items, so this is going to be quite intense. Also, if you guys do enjoy these sort of videos, make sure to drop a like down below. Let me know in the comment section down below if you guys have any more challenges you want to suggest to me, like any ideas you have for a few challenges. Let me know in the comment section down below. But let's quickly go through the rules, guys. So, rule number 1, I'm not allowed to catch any wild Pokemon. That's the biggest rule. The most important rule is I'm not allowed to catch any Pokemon. Rule number 2, no items during battles. So during battles, I'm not allowed to use any sort of items. Outside of battles, I am allowed to use items, so I will be doing that. Also, I am not allowed to get any of the Pokemon from the game corner because it just would be too easy, though I am allowed to get Pokemon that are received just randomly throughout the game, which means no trade Pokemon, but I am allowed to just get random Pokemon. So yeah, that's just the general rules, and yeah, let's get started, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be quite interesting. I'm going to be frankly honest, like, it was really fun. So, the first thing we do, of course, is start up a game, give ourselves the name Ruffled, because, you know, that's my name, makes a lot of sense, doesn't seem too strange, right? So, you know, seemed pretty reasonable. Now, as for our rival, probably the thing that I was the most worried about throughout this playthrough, the one person that was going to create probably the most amount of issues, I thought about the name, and I decided to call him Cyril, or Cyril, I'm not really sure, but Cyril is the name I went for. I don't know why, it just sounded like a strange name, and I thought it would be fun just to give him that one, so that's what I went for. But hey, I don't know if you guys think it's weird. I don't really know what to say. Now, as for starters, I went for Charmander. The biggest reason I went for Charmander, in particular, actually, is because Charizard is so strong late game. Like, towards the end, when you're taking on the Elite Four and whatnot, he's very, very strong. Like, seriously, Charmander is super useful, so came really well in hand. And then, of course, the first thing we'd run into would be, of course, the first gym, aka Brock. Now, I've got to be honest, like, I really thought it'd be a trouble and big problem, but thanks to Metal Claw and whatnot, it was kind of easy to get through it. Now, initially, I did end up losing. It was a little bit, like, you know, of an annoyance, but we did get through it eventually, and it went pretty smooth after that. Now, of course, since we are not allowed to, technically speaking, catch any Pokemon, we are, of course, though, allowed to buy Pokemon, as well as, like, receive Pokemon. And here we have a case of me buying a Pokemon, which is kind of one of the few times in Pokemon games we actually can do that. But here we buy ourselves the Magikarp. Now, of course, this is the one where you get scammed, because it just gives you like a level 5 Magikarp, and it really isn't that strong. But I was thinking about this logically, and I thought, okay, so I have a fire type already, right? I eventually will be able to get an Eevee, which I can, you know, evolve and whatnot. So why not get a Magikarp and just grind the hell out of it to get it to level 20 so it evolves into a Gyarados. So I call this one 500 Doland, and the reason for that, of course, is because it cost me 500 Poké-Dollars, so I thought that was a logical name. But that was that, though. Now, of course, one of the next things we'd run into, of course, would be the Mount Moon situation, where we are able to get ourselves one of the fossils. Now, I was actually gonna, like, use one of the fossils and, like, you know, actually get myself one of the Pokemon, but I actually ended up not doing that. I just think, in general, I didn't go through the process of actually, you know, how would I really explain this? I just didn't bother actually, like, you know, using the machine to just get the actual fossils. Like, I just didn't go for it, and I got the Dome Fossil, so, you know, I just didn't bother with it, though, so that was that. Now, as for, like, battles against our rival, which was the next thing, like, as we get close to Misty Gym, that was pretty solid and pretty easy, but then, of course, Misty came up, and I'm gonna be honest, it was really hard until we actually leveled the hell out of Dolan, and, like, Dolan really just came in handy, because if it wasn't for him using Bite, we would not have gone through Misty that easily, but generally speaking, we made it through. And, of course, next up was the SS Anne, and here we took on, again, our rival, Cyril, or Cheryl. I don't really know what to refer to him as, but my point is, we took out our rival, and we destroyed his Raticate. He destroyed his majority of his team, because, again, Dolan came super handy. Having Bite on him was honestly just such a blessing. It really helped out a lot, because otherwise we would have struggled through majority of these battles. It would have honestly been somewhat of a pain, but yeah, so next up was probably the easiest part, I think, like, out of everything we took on throughout this whole thing. I think this was probably one of the easiest battles we had, which was against Surge himself. I thought it was going to be really troublesome. Like, we did lose one time. I think one of the attempts was actually a loss, but I think on the second try, we actually got through. Now, of course, it was a little bit annoying because he went for that double team, but luckily we did have stuff that could work in our favor. Of course, Lenny, our Charmeleon at this point, was in a good state. Was in a good state with, you know, like a few of the extra moves we've given to him. So yeah, we head over though. At this point, we go through all the, you know, rock tunnel and whatnot, and make our way to Erica. And okay, this was the easiest battle of them all. And at this point also, Lenny evolves, which was great because that also gave us wing attack, which would come in handy a lot later because we were really, you know, we ended up really having a use for it. But I've got to say though, Erica, like this gym battle was definitely the easiest one. Now, unfortunately, I had to give cut to Lenny for the fact that I couldn't catch any of the Pokemon that could use it. So luckily though, Lenny could use it, and that came really handy in place because we had to like use it to get through places. But yeah, so next up though, we actually go and get ourselves our Eevee, and this Eevee in particular was like, I was really excited to use it. Now I didn't know what to call it, so I went just for a Swedish word, which is the word for day, and I just went for dog, which is literally just the word day in Swedish. Don't ask why I did that. I was just being weird, but I went for that one because I thought, hey, this could be a good idea. This could be nice. And then, of course, the thing I would evolve it into would be a Jolteon. I evolved Eevee into a Jolteon, and that's because I needed those electricity type moves, because those would really come in handy later on. They would be really, really useful. So at this point, we have 3 Pokemon, and now we're going to get ourselves the 4th one, which is going to be Hitmonlee. I decided to just call him Lee, because I thought a little shortening of his name would be really cute, and I thought it would be nice. But of course, all these things are not a problem, because then we make our way to Koga, and I actually made a little bit of a mistake like during Koga's battle. I didn't run back to take on Sabrina, so I actually I think I took on Blaine first, and then Sabrina, which was just really strange for me, because I understood that I could maybe do that, but like, you know, or maybe that a situation like that could, you know, arise, but I was so weird just having to run back because I didn't have Fly. I didn't have the HM Fly, so I was in a pretty weird position, to be frankly honest, but that wasn't really that big of a deal because at this point, we made our way through like all these Team Rocket hideouts, and we've taken on our rival again. And honestly, thanks to Charizard, and also thanks to, you know, our boy Gyarados, or 500 Dolan here, we actually made it through his team pretty solidly, because anything that came up, we just destroyed. Again, thanks to Bite, just that one move was such a blessing. And honestly, with Giovanni, again, like I've been saying it throughout this whole video, and I know it sounds pretty weird, but he was pretty easily defeated. And I think the biggest issue was maybe like Giovanni, like I had to take him on like more than once during his gym battle later on, but at this point, like during all the kind of encounters inside of like their headquarters and whatnot, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And as for Blaine, same thing here, just went for Surf, just kept spamming that, or if I wasn't spamming Surf, then I just switch into again to Lenny and just use like, you know, whatever I had on him, which was usually wing attack and whatnot, and it was pretty solid. It didn't really create any major issues. I do wish though that I had grinded like Dolan a little bit more, because and not just Dolan but Lee and the other guys as well, because I really had to grind hardcore for the Elite Four eventually. But as for this battle, it was pretty solid. We went through it like without any major hiccups, and no problems really arose, so that was really great. And then of course I had to run back and just find Sabrina again and just sweep through her team. At this point, I was far over leveled, so like it wasn't that big of a deal getting through her team. It was pretty solid. Just use Lenny, spam Flamethrower, and just run back again now, back to where we were meant to take on the final gym. And at this point, we're taking on Giovanni. Again, like I said, this battle was a little bit difficult. We had to go for several wing attacks against his Rhyhorn. It was really, really bulky, and unfortunately, I just didn't... I think at this point, I didn't actually have... my Gyarados, like I didn't think Dolan like had any more Surf, but it turns out he did. So I was just not thinking at this point, because I was actually like doing this really late at night. It was like 3 in the morning when I was doing this battle, so I was totally out of my mind. Like I was just like didn't realize, why am I using wing attack 24/7? But the battle goes through smoothly, and we wake our way through. And at this point, we're right before the victory road. We're about to take on our boy Cyril again. We're meant to take him on in this final battle between who's going to, you know, get there first. Of course, we will take him on again later on, but this was the precursor to that final showdown. And at this point, all I knew that was going to happen was I'm going to have to grind with these Pokemon all freaking night to get their levels up, and it was gonna be a pain. Like, I knew and I saw it coming, but thanks to the fact that Dolan was so strong, thanks to the fact that Dolan was so strong, and the fact that all these other Pokemon, like, you know, just they were pretty solid. A lot of them had strong moves and whatnot. It made the job a little bit easier as, like, we were making our way through the victory road and getting our levels going. So that side of things went pretty solidly. And at this point, after defeating Cyril in the first attempt, I don't think we lost to him. After defeating him, we made our way to the Elite Four. And so we made it to the Elite Four with, of course, the first one being Lorelei. And I've got to be honest, I think Lorelei was probably the biggest issue we had, like, if we don't count Lance. I think Lance was the biggest problem, but the amount of times I actually had to, like, try to go through, like, Lorelei to just try to defeat this, like, insane, like, just setup of, like, freaking water Pokemon and, like, that sort of stuff. It was a pain until we got Dag leveled up, and we finally could make it through because it was so freaking difficult. But eventually we got to a point where we could essentially sweep through our team pretty easily, and here we went through pretty solidly, if I'm gonna be honest. Now, Dag actually does fall through in the end, but I think Lapras here was their final Pokemon, so it was pretty solid to go through her team at this point. It just wasn't like this crazy endeavor that it was initially the first time around. And of course, Jinx was the final thing to really, you know, kind of put a little bit of a roadblock in front of us, and it does take out Lenny, but I think we pretty much ended it here. We just went in with Lee. He just kind of destroyed Jinx at that point, and we went on to take on Bruno. And okay, so Bruno was a little bit of a hit or miss. I actually messed up here in the start. I wasn't meant to go for Dragon Dance. I was meant to go for Surf straight away, but kind of messed that up, and then I of course switched back into Lenny, or rather I switched into Lenny to make sure to get rid of these guys with Flamethrower, because I realized that Flamethrower was probably one of the most effective things I could use. We did also have Earthquake at this point on our boy Dolan, but I decided, like, I didn't feel like it was worth to go in there, because I noticed that after a few tries, like, the Earthquake it does damage, but I'm not sure, like, if it's enough to get us through. So I try to do a little bit of damage, and of course we did get a few Pokemon, but luckily though, you know, just using that Earthquake through those last two battles was enough to get through, and of course saving those extra PPs and whatnot. And then of course next was going to be Agatha, and this was a strange one, right? So I was in a kind of a weird position, right? Because she's got so many Ghost Pokemon, and the only thing I really had that's strong against her, I guess, was my Bite on Dolan. Of course, I had other moves I could essentially use, but that was probably one of the most effective things I had against her. And also, the biggest issue here was this Gengar kept using Double Team, but luckily, we did get that Bite through at the end there. Like, luckily, we managed to hit that and get right through. And then, of course, like, we lose Dolan, but that wasn't a problem because we switched back into Lenny, and Lenny just literally sweeps pretty much through almost all of the team here at this point. It just was so solid. Like, Flamethrower and Charizard, man. This is why I chose Charizard over, like, Blastoise and Venusaur as my, you know, kind of like starter Pokemon type thing, because I just realized it was going to be so much more useful. Like, just that Flamethrower and just that sort of stuff was going to be so strong in these battles. But of course, Agatha was over, and the final obstacle, Lance himself. Now we kick off against his Gyarados. We get that, like, I think it was a Thunder we got in there really solidly, which just decimated his Gyarados there. But next up was Dragonair, which was a little bit more of a difficulty, if I'm going to be frankly honest. It was far more annoying to deal with, but it wasn't the end of the world. We were somehow able to get through this. Earthquake, which I thought I made a mistake when I used Earthquake against it. I thought, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. That was a mistake, but it turned out that I could actually do it, and I didn't realize that until I was like, wait a minute, it actually isn't flying, is it? So I could still use it, and I went for it, and it worked solidly. And then Lenny, of course, comes through with the Flamethrower. The final thing, of course, being on our way here at this point is the Dragonite of his, which I was really worried about how we would handle. But luckily, though, we got it really low, and Lee just came in and just pulled that Mega Kick just to end it all. And then, of course, the final thing, the epitome of this whole playthrough, our final battle against the current champion, Cyril, whatever you want to call him. It's weird whenever you say his name. I say it weird because English isn't my first language, but that's besides the point. The battle was going to to begin, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, this I thought was going to be the most difficult one. I genuinely thought this was going to be the most difficult one, but he starts off with Pidgeot, so we go with Dag because, you know, Thunder, get rid of that Pidgeot, just easy peasy lemon squeezy, switch out, of course, into Dolan here for his Rhydon, and simple again, Surf, Alakazam takes on Lenny, easy Flamethrower, Blastoise comes in, we go back into, I think at this point we went back into Dag, because of course, you know, it's just perfect opportunity. Now, we were out of Thunder, but we still had a few Shockwaves, so those were enough to get rid of his Blastoise, which really wasn't blasting anything off. And of course, Arcanine came in, and I think at this point we still had a lot of PP left on Surf. And actually, funny thing, I didn't actually end up having to use any Ethers throughout this run. Like, it was really strange. I really expected to have to use like a lot of Ethers, but I guess it's like more common when you do a solo run, so to say. But at this point, Exeggutor wasn't a big deal. We knew we had Lenny, we knew we had a few Flamethrowers left, just like maybe enough to get rid of him, you know, get that cut at the end. Ladies and gentlemen, that was that. We had defeated him, and we are now the new champion. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is that. I've got to be honest, this was actually a really fun run, because I got to use more than a single Pokemon. Sometimes when you use a singular Pokemon, it can get a little bit boring when you're just running through straightforward, but it was really fun. I got to use only Pokemon that I hadn't actually caught, but rather received or found, which was really, really cool and really fun. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, then please let me know in the comment section down below, guys. You want to see more stuff like this, and please let me know what are some suggestions for stuff like this that you want to see. And also, maybe if you guys want to see it, I could do a catchless run in Heart Gold, Soul Silver, because that game has also a few Pokemon that you can receive, but not too many, where it will actually make the run a lot more hard. So if you guys want to see that, let me know in the comment section down below. Make sure to drop a like down below, guys. Let's see if we can hit, I don't know, 300, 400 likes on this video. That'd be really appreciated. Thank you so much. I'll see you all the next time. Have a great day, and bye-bye, ladies and gentlemen.